and let us all do we can to build a better future.
Well, folks, here we go again. You saw him in 2016. You saw him in 2020. And it looks like the orange Cheetos coming back again. And God, here we go. Donald Trump is planning on running for his re-election in the 2024 midterm, not 2024, but after the midterm election cycle in 2022. He will probably be making that announcement on November 14th, November 12th, possibly. We'll be finding out. But I first want to play this clip here because there's a reason why he's making this announcement. And I want everyone to really pay close attention. This is something that myself and Daniel said on social media numerous times, that yes, Trump is going to run again. Just because you voted him out of office doesn't mean he's not going to try again. It doesn't mean he's not going to come back. I mean, he's going to come back. And after what happened with his Twitter account being shut down and him being removed off of social media, I think him and his 20 million plus supporters and voters disappeared overnight? No. And with the absolute failure that the Democrats have done with, again, failing at their policies, failing to follow through with everything they promised to do in 2020, this is an open opportunity for Trump to capitalize on. And plus, with the Democrats' numerous amounts of failures, he has a lot of political ammunition to use against them in the 2024 presidential election cycle. So let's play this video.
This hour, sources telling Newsmax that former President Donald Trump is making plans to announce a 2024 presidential campaign on November 14th. This, according to several sources right now within his inner circle.
Trump and his advisors have been hinting at a 2024 run over the last several weeks. Trump himself has given out a few teasers on it as well. In Iowa last night, he said he will, quote, very, very, very probably run in 2024. Sean, and there was so much discussion about if he were to run, would he wait until after the midterms? It looks like from these sources, that's the case.
Okay, so that's the case that we're seeing. Now, the thing is, what we have to remember, and I remember this after being in Philadelphia at the Wells Fargo Center, seeing how Bernie Sanders supporters and Green Party supporters were being assaulted and attacked by, again, Clinton supporters. This is a thing that happened. Mm-hmm. Everyone wants to paint a rosy picture like, oh, the Democratic convention in 2016 in Philadelphia at the Wells Fargo, there was peace and love. No, there was not. And the day I left Philly, I just kept on thinking in the back of my head, oh, holy cow, there's a 50-50 chance Donald Trump can pull this off. I will not underestimate Donald Trump. And before anyone, especially the vote blue, no matter who crowd, starts typing in, well, Biden won. He barely won by the skin of his teeth. And before anyone on both sides, be it a Democratic voter or Republican voter, types in the comment section below saying, oh, well, you can wait. Here's the thing. You need the Electoral College. Popular vote doesn't mean a goddamn thing. And there are a lot of states that have, again, a higher number of the Electoral College votes that Donald Trump could successfully win in if he throws his hat in the ring. We'll find out what happens either on November 14th, November 12th, sometime after this midterm election cycle. We'll be finding out soon. Like I said, I will be surprised and shocked if he chooses not to run, because this is a huge opportunity for him to take advantage of. And again, to also call out the Democrats for being the hypocrites that they are. But the thing is, the Democrats, not only with their failures to deliver any of their promises, we have a massive inflation. Before anyone says, well, one president is more responsible than the other, now, this inflation has been ongoing. Democratic and Republican presidential administrations have been leading us to this economic disaster, all these inflations for decades on end. There's no innocence in the two-party system. And if you believe one party cares about America more than the other, then tell me what it's like to believe in Santa Claus and the little leprechauns. So, but here's the thing. I want to get back to the Democrats, because here's where they shot themselves in foot. I want to play this video that Roger Meadows shared with me. Teslin Figueroa shared this video about how, again, the Democrats are losing two voting blocks: Hispanic and Black voters. So first I want to play this video here. Remember earlier this year when Biden told Black leaders that Black voters should align with Hispanics? Turns out Hispanics are no longer aligning with Democrats. Once again, Democrats are forced to depend on their Black voters base, so it behooved Dems to align with Black voters. But here's the thing. The Democratic Party is also abandoning Black voters too. And this is being seen. We're seeing, again, through the failure of the Democrats and how they haven't delivered. It's shocking. It's sad. And the thing is, the Democrats did this to themselves. So AOC, Bernie, what's your excuse?
Giant voting bloc that Democrats once thought was a lock. So what happened? Joining me now is the Atlantic staff writer, Tim Alberta. His latest piece is aptly titled, Why Democrats Are Losing Hispanic Voters. So Tim, I'm going to ask you why. First, I'm going to read a little bit from the top of your piece, and this is where you're talking to a couple of hopeful Democratic Latino leaders in Arizona about what has happened in that state. And they say our community, we may not be, this is what they're told. Our community, we may not be educated at the highest levels, but we have a lot of street smarts. You know what they say to Democrats now? I can't say it on television, but it's a bunch of BS. So Tim, why do they suddenly think Democrats are full of BS?
You know, Katie, I think the key is it's not that they're suddenly convinced that Democrats are full of BS. I think that this has been many years in the making. What I think is causing a lot of Hispanic Democrats, particularly at the local office holder level, folks in positions of power, at the county level, township level, mayors, sheriffs, that sort of thing. What's really driving them at this point to speak out about this is that they feel like they've been taken for a ride and that there have been promises made over a period of many years and multiple administrations that just have not been delivered on. And although they are, in many cases, no closer to becoming Republicans, it's not like they're suddenly defecting. What they're reflecting is a certain apathy and an exasperation that's set in their communities, where a lot of the voters who have been so critical to elevating the Democratic coalition in recent years and delivering Barack Obama the presidency, delivering Joe Biden the presidency in 2020, are now sort of tuning out at best, or they are in fact defecting to Republicans at worst. And it just feels like in this election cycle in particular, Katie, that it's a perfect storm, that Democrats have taken their eye off the ball on the economy, that a lot of these voters already felt taken for granted by the party. And due to a whole host of other factors, this is suddenly shaping up to be a sort of a stars aligning election for Republicans, where they have the potential to win a historic number of these voters.
So again, that is something that is happening. That is a real fact. And look, inflation's rising, food prices, gas prices are going up still. And we have this ridiculous war. And let's be very clear here. I don't care how you vote or what generation you're part of or who you worship. You would have to be a blind, drooling idiot if you can't see the fact that our government is able quick to stamp up now, I think at this point, $100 billion plus for this war in Ukraine. Boy, oh boy, they could find that money. And look, I don't care if you're a diehard Democrat voter, diehard Republican voter. I'm going to look you straight in the eye and say, okay, we got money for all these wars and to bail out these banks, but we don't have money to, I don't know, build or maintain our bridges, student debt forgiveness, Medicare for all. I get can that be done? Because boy, we're just like looking under the couch. We might find ourselves a penny, but when it comes down to war, look at all this money. How did it get here so fast? I mean, you got to be a blind, drooling idiot if you can't see the fact that our government is so hypocritical, and voters are going to see this. And what's the party that's been promoting this war so far? It's the Democrats. And, we've seen this role happen time and time again. When the Democrats are in charge and there's an ongoing war, conflict, or potential conflict happening, we see the Republicans try and be peacemakers. When the Republicans take charge, oh, surprise, surprise. The Democrats remember, hey, let's be anti-war, at least until it's politically convenient. Both parties are warmongers. Both parties are warmongers. Both parties are warmongers. I want to pull up this video here. Shout out again to Case Study QB, who's wrongly being censored by Twitter. Again, Elon Musk, please fix that, because Case Study QB does phenomenal work. Let's pull up this video here.
That's especially true in Texas, where Republicans are pushing for the Latino vote not only along the border, but in some of the state's largest cities now as well. Joining us now to talk about it, president and founder of Futuro Media Group and MSNBC political analyst, Maria Hinojosa. Maria, thank you so much for joining us this morning. There is, of course, we should always say right at the top, the Latino voters.
And shout out to the audience member, Valerie Purcell, who wrote in all caps, 180 billion, Kit. See, I said 100 billion, and now my heart sinks even further. $180 billion for war. Nothing else though. So seriously, if you vote Democrat or Republican, come on, tell me why we can't do other social programs. I mean, if we got money for war, don't we have money for anything else? Obviously not.
First, not a monolith. Different groups have different interests like any others. There are some huge battleground states. There are some battleground states that have huge Latino populations, though. Nevada, Florida, Arizona, among them. Talk us through some of the key issues there that are resonating with voters and why Republicans seem to have made some inroads.
So look, Jonathan, it's great to be with you. Thank you for making me wake up really early.
Thanks for being here.
The dogs appreciated it. The Latino, what I like to say, my mantra right now is that we need to understand that the Latino vote is the second largest cohort of voters in the United States. So let that sit in. It's the second largest cohort, but it's not a block, right? So when you ask what's of interest to them, it's like with all voters, right? I mean, people are talking about the economy. People are talking about the future. People are talking about democracy. So
okay, so I want to stop it here because again, this is corporate media. They're going to keep on talking about the same stuff over and over again. The Democrats have not maintained their base. They were hoping that the fear of the orange boogeyman known as Trump would be an ongoing thing that voters would remember. But I think, hey, let's have democracy in the chat. What matters more to you, a voter? And I'm not asking any of you to vote, but what matters more to you? The economy and the current state of our nation right now, type 3, if that matters. Type 4, if you want to cling to the past about some orange failed TV show host named Donald Trump, which matters more? Because at the end of the day, no matter who sits in the office, you do realize that said presidential administration is going to be filled up with people from Wall Street, banks, top 1%ers, hedge fund managers. I mean, you the average citizen, good old Billy and Bobby and Sarah and Jill, you're not going to be in the White House talking to, the president, because the president doesn't give a damn about you. So I want to pull up this video here of Breonna Joy Gray, who, again, wrongly being attacked by Vote Blue, no matter who, liberal warmongers. And she brings up a conversation about how, again, Stacey Abrams was saying that she did not concede, especially around 2018, 2019. I'm curious to see if that's going to happen after this midterm, where you're going to have both parties. Before we pull it up, Lauren, I'd like to get your comments.
I think it's interesting because the Democrats promise stuff. They are always giving out promises and dangling pretty candies and rewards as treats for if you vote for us, we'll give you this, we'll give you that. And they have not followed through on any of it. There are still children in cages. There are still a lot of the situation at the border is distressing. People are still kids are still being taken away from their parents. Nothing is helping. No one's being helped. And I know that that's not the only issue that Latino and Latina people have, is not just the border issues, but the Democrats can't keep promising that they're going to fix it and then just as soon as they get elected, forget completely about it. Looking at you, AOC. Republicans are at least honest about the fact that they're not going to be helpful to the Latino community. They're at least kind of straight up about it. I can see why people, and it might not be that people are going to start voting Republican, but they're certainly not going to vote Democrat. People may just not vote. And that will always help the Republicans party to win with people don't vote. That happens every single time there's a low voter turnout as Republicans win because Republicans go and vote.
Well, the thing is, too, remember, midterms statistically have always been proven as low voter turnouts because I think people don't realize that, that's theoretically it's supposed to be an important election year, like all of them. But again, it wasn't really. Both parties want to keep it that way. And I want to shout out to Bad Cookie says, not forget, ignore on purpose. There we go. So there we go. Don't lie. not forget, ignore on purpose. That's what our politicians do. They do ignore on purpose. They know what they're doing. They truly do. So let's pull up this video of Breonna Joy Gray talking about, again, whether or not election results will be accepted, especially after this midterm.
Abrams did say repeatedly that he does not concede. She, said it in different speeches around 2018 and 2019. Not today, but back then, I actually won this election. And, she did say things like that.
I do have one very affirmative statement to make. We won.
So, yeah, I honestly, I don't know how to compare those. I think I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
But
it's tough because 1-6 happened, right? And so that feels like an escalation
and Trump's encouragement of the protesters to storm the Capitol feels like an escalation. I wonder if there would be more openness among Democrats to accept that there are some parallels between everyone basically claiming that elections were stolen from them when they feel like they lost unfairly. If 1/6 hadn't happened and Trump had just showed up at the inauguration and not continued to foreground the quote unquote big lie as much as has been done. Because it does get a little bit difficult. Now, another place where I would argue there's a meaningful distinction between, Hillary Clinton or whomever saying, I should have won, or that the 2000 election was stolen or decided by the Supreme Court wrongly, is that there were these attempts at election interference by calling up Raffensperger and these people in the state of Georgia in particular to try to get them to not certify the election results. And another story that you wrote recently had to do with the fact that even though Brian Kemp is, I think, being largely tolerated by even Democrats in the state as a relatively moderate conservative who was not an election denier, not a Trump truther, his lieutenant governor, in fact, was.
So again, that's something I want to see what will happen. Now, whether or not the midterms are either a red wave or the Democrats maintain or get more seats, or it's 50-50 up in the air, the key thing is voter turnout, voter turnout, voter turnout. But if every election cycle is going to be, well, my side won or I won, and we need to do a voter recount, it's a disaster for what remains of the hallowed husk of our democracy. So I want to end this note, at least something positive, and then Lauren, I want to give you the final word on this because there's a lot to unpack with this. But I did a post on our community. I decided to do a little polling. I know, a little bit of democracy where you can vote, right, folks? So here is what I put up for our viewers to participate in on our YouTube community page. And I asked this very simple question. Do you care about the midterm election cycle? At 21%, with 440 votes, 21% said yes, and I voted. At 38%, no, none of this matters. I'm not voting. Coming in at fourth place. Okay, again, yes, I voted second. No, none of this matters. Coming in at first at 38. Coming in at fourth place, number 3, third option, I'm indifferent and I might vote on election day, 18%. At the bottom, wait, there's an election happening. And of course, the comedic one, third place, 19%, deep dish pizza. Lauren, your thoughts and final word.
I agree with Brianna Joy Gray. I think that there is a difference, like a slight difference. And I think that people might be a little bit more open to tamping down on I won, no, I won if 1/6 hadn't happened. Because every politician doesn't want to admit that they lost, and they all, for all time, have complained about it if they lost. They all think it was unfair. Like, of course they do. And I think that she's correct that the escalation of 1/6 is what has caused, and like continuing on for years. Because it's been 2 years now. Almost, it's been a year, 2021 is when that happened. So it's the fact that it's continued on so long, and then because all the other people who have complained, they'll occasionally mention it offhand. It's like, well, I still think it was unfair, but they don't continually go around and make it their whole platform. And I think that people might even be more accepting of him coming back if he hadn't continued to put all of this. I mean, maybe it's a good thing that he's putting a lot of distrust in the system, and because people are actually distrusting the system more than they used to, I think, but not for the reasons he wanted, which, good things can come in very weird packages sometimes. Sometimes the best bananas have very dark peels. But I just think it's interesting that, it's absolutely right, because they all say, oh, well, actually, I didn't lose that one. But I don't know. I think that the concession is important to continue to make things run at least kind of smoothly. And I hope that people grow up for this election. I don't have any actual faith that they'll grow up for this election. I think that Trump has opened a door for people to, and I think people are going to walk through it on both the Democratic side and the Republican side of if they lose, they're going to walk through that door and do what he did and sue and make it a huge part of their whole campaign forever. I think that's just going to be what happens now, which is depressing to think about.
Well, it's hard to sum up. I mean, the thing is, I will be voting, all right, for this midterm. And look, audience, the choice is yours. But the reason why I am going to vote is I live in a ballot initiative state. I want to, again, observe these ballot initiatives. I'll be voting for them, the good ones over the bad ones. And I will be, of course, throwing in my support to independent and third-party candidates, be they non-affiliate independents, Greens, or Libertarians. I will not waste my vote on Democratic or Republican politicians. Now, audience, you can make your own choice. And if you don't want to vote, fine. But if you live in a ballot initiative state, you might want to reconsider. You might. I'm not telling you to do that. You might want to reconsider because ballot initiatives are fundamentally important, and you can do more with a good ballot initiative or stopping a bad ballot initiative than having some jagoff politician in office. But otherwise than that, folks, be prepared because 2022, like I said at the beginning of this year, was going to be the canary in the coal mine for how 2024 will play out.